Alright, so here's this '02 Grand Marquis, and we've got the AC turned on to max, set it down to 60. It's blowing at like 130 degrees, almost 140. Maybe you look there. Super, super hot, and we're doing some preliminary investigation. Here's what we're at. We noticed, you could take my word for it, the clutch, the AC compressor clutch is on. Right, AC compressor clutch is whipping right away. We're making about 30 psi on the low side, almost 200 on the high side. We've got temperature probes in there, and it shows that we're blowing super hot inside, and it's kind of weird because this AC should be working with those pressures. And even to further verify, I can go to the high side here and I can touch the high side line and it's hot. I can go to the low side here and I can touch some of the low side lines and it's very cold. In fact, you can even see the condensation here. So as far as pressures and temperatures, the AC should really be working great. So this is adequately charged. The AC compressor seems to be working well, but we have really, really hot AC. So there's a self-test mode here. And basically, you'll notice a noise. I'm going to shut the door. If you listen, you're hearing a clunk and a thump and a bump and all kinds of noise here. I'm going to even turn the blower speed down. Hear that noise? There's an odd noise behind the dash, and so I already have some ideas of what that will be. But there's a self-test mode we can do here. And we touch off and floor, and then automatic.
Off and floor at the same time?
Yep.
Right.
Now it did some things. It's actually starting to blow cool right now. This temperature's dropping. Still dropping. Still dropping. Try to reinitiate that mode because it didn't seem like it took, but the AC actually started working pretty well for a second. See, we've come down quite a bit, but that test again is off and floor, same time, and then automatic. Now it's going to run its own self-test. But I think moving it around, there's basically a door, the temperature door, aka the blend door, in the HVAC box behind the dash appears to have a defective actuator or a binding inside. That's why you're hearing the pop, pop, pop. It's trying to move that door to the cold side to send the air through the evaporator core, but instead it's getting kind of stuck and it's sending a lot of the air through the heater core, which is making the vent temperature obviously really hot. So we initiated that test mode, which it's still doing. And then this number right here is an actual DTC. So we're going to take that code 024 and go look up some service information and have to proceed from there. So we'll check back right now. So I'm in here on all data, and here's what we found, that DTC 24. Just generally blend door short or failure. Try to get it to focus right. Doesn't like the computer screen. And we need to do some further examination here. So we can do some pinpoint testing. And it'll have you go through a number of different tests and this is really the right thing to do. Go ahead and go through every test, every test, every test, every test. But basically, because we can hear that it's trying to move electrically, we don't really need to do all these electrical tests because we know electrically it's working. The problem is it's trying to move and it's kind of skipping as if there's a stripped out plastic gear, most likely, which is a pretty common issue. But a technician's version of the test would be to go ahead and do all these checks. What I would recommend is you have to access the actuator, which that's a whole issue under the dash somewhere buried. And then basically what you'd want to do is disconnect the actuator, grab the blend door at the little hinge, try to move it. And if it's binding, the problem is inside the box. And if it moves freely, the problem is going to be the actuator itself. I can show you what that looks like. So here is a different HVAC box that's taken apart. This one, this is how you'd control your blend door. This one is actually controlled by a cable, as you can see. Those would be very easy to test because you would go ahead and you'd pop the cable off, and then once you get the cable off, you would just go ahead and you'd actually move the door manually. The style on that Grand Marquis is more like this. It's an electronic actuator that has a motor and a position sensor. We would have to unbolt it, remove it, try to move the door, but most likely it's this kind of a situation. There's kind of a little plastic little gear train here, and that most likely is going to be stripped on that one. So you can pretty much count on going in there and finding yourself a stripped actuator, and that's the diagnosis on that one.